In this video, we're going to look at the 10 reasons why you should consider going on an ambassador's cruise. Hello, my name is Victoria, and this video is about the cruise that my sister and I went on last year. It was with the Ambassador Ambience, and it was a 7-night cruise from Tilbury. It was a Motown themed cruise with featured artists and featured destinations. Ambassador Cruise Lines is a new company. It was founded in 2020 and has 2 ships currently, the Ambience and the Ambition. We travelled on the Ambience, and this cruise ship used to be owned by Princess Cruises, but it was bought by the Ambassador Group and refurbished. It can carry up to 1,600 passengers and a crew of 900. The ports. On this 7-night cruise, we had 4 port stops and 2 sea days. The ports that we stopped at were Gothenburg in Sweden, Copenhagen in Denmark, Arhus in Denmark, and Christensen in Norway. When we got to the port of Gothenburg, we got off the ship and there was a free shuttle bus to take us into town. The journey was about 10 minutes. We had a free map, and with that we walked around the town and took in the main sites. These main sites included the City Theatre, the Museum of Art, the Concert Hall, the library, the park, and the Opera House. When we returned back to the port, we noticed that there was a Volvo museum next to the terminal, so we decided to have a look. We popped our head in, had a quick look, but we didn't go any further because we realised we had to pay and it was quite expensive. And it's only worth it if you're the type of person who actually enjoys looking at cars, which we're not really. Our next port of call was Copenhagen, and the highlight was seeing the statue of the Little Mermaid. It was really busy and you had to be really strategic in order to get a photo without any other people in it. But if you take your time, you actually, and you're patient, you will be able to get a picture. And that statue is much smaller than you would think. The other main attraction in Copenhagen is the Tilbury Gardens, and this is an amusement park which is very famous around the world. One top tip, if you are looking for a restroom, you can use the toilets in the National Museum because it's free to enter and the people at the door were happy to let us in. We had a really nice day in Copenhagen, and as we were walking around we also saw the Christiansborg Palace. We also walked past the Nyhavn Canal, and this is famous for the very colourful buildings that line the streets on each side. Our third port of call was in a town called Arhus in Denmark, and we spent a couple of hours walking around and taking in the sights. And the sights included the Arhus Cathedral, the Botanical Gardens. We also walked past some really pretty houses, as well as the Old Town Museum and the Church of Our Lady. Our final port of call was in Christensen in Norway, and the highlight of the day there was visiting the small fish market, and then walking a bit further along we also passed a very small beach which was perfect for the day that we were having there. We saw Christensen's Cathedral, and we were also sent to a building which was supposed to be a traditional Norwegian hut, but it was turned into a bakery. And while we were there, we wondered if it was just a PR stunt and that they wanted visitors to actually go there and buy some baked goods. Not sure. If you are looking for free Wi-Fi, you can head to the tourism office and they're happy to give you the password code. Reason number 3 why you should try an Ambassador cruise is the food. The food on the ship was hot and plentiful. We really enjoyed the food. There was 2 different options. You could choose to eat in the buffet, or you could go to the main dining room. In the main dining room there were 2 different seating times. The first one was at 5:45 and the second time was at 7:15. If you ate in the main dining room, there was a dress code, but if you ate in the buffet, there was no dress code, so you could just dress in your casual everyday wear. We actually found that there were quite a few people who didn't like having to dress up, and they much preferred being casual and going to the buffet. In the main dining room, dinner consisted of 5 different courses, and I'd say that there was a good choice of food, so there should be something suitable for everyone. So there were 5 different courses, which were the appetizer, the soup, a salad, the main course and the dessert. If you look at the menu and you can't decide which mains to have or which appetizers to have, you can always choose to have more than one of each. And we did that quite a few times, and the waiters were quite happy to bring us different options or 2 meals at the same time. For breakfast options, you can either choose to go to the buffet in the morning, or you can go to the Buckingham and have a sit-down breakfast. If you don't like crowds, then I would suggest that you avoid the buffet because it does get really busy. And if you know that you lack patience, I would definitely avoid that. The other food option is the outside grill, where you can get hot dogs, pizzas and hamburgers. And every day at 3 o'clock, there was also afternoon tea, and you'd get sandwiches, scones, and the final time that you can get food on the Ambassador's ship is at around 11:30 in the nightclub. At that time, waiters appear with trays of hot food nibbles, and these nibbles included samosas, mini sausages wrapped in bacon. We tended to grab a couple of scones and cakes during tea time and take those back to our cabin so that we'd have something for our midnight snack once we got back to the cabin at the end of the evening. Reason number 4, the entertainment. There was plenty of options and choices for entertainment, and it was a really good mix. This was a Motown and rock and roll themed cruise, and that meant that we had an Elvis impersonator on the ship and we had a Motown group on the ship. They were great, we had a really good time, and we wished that they had more of the Motown theme for the rest of the cruise. During the cruise, there were about 3 or 4 different shows, and they were performed by very enthusiastic performers. There were some great singers, there was some great dancing. There was one particular theatre production which I didn't think suited the audience, and I feel like, well, there were quite a few people who actually walked out because it really wasn't their cup of tea. One thing that was everyone's cup of tea was the drama vignettes. There were several of those, and they played that in one of the bars, and every afternoon they played, that bar was full and there was standing room only. That was fantastic. All the performers who took part in that were fantastic. They were brilliant. They made us laugh, and they looked like they were having a really good time too. So that was great. During our cruise, I would say there were 2 entertainment highlights of the week. The first was the karaoke. During the karaoke, so many people took part, but the way it was set up, it meant that other people could actually join in. And it was just a fun, really entertaining evening. The other entertainment highlight was the nightclub. Every night that club was busy, and we didn't go to bed till around 2:30. The music was great, the people were great, they were really enthusiastic, and even at that age group, our age group, we were up on the dance floor. The songs were great, the atmosphere was great. I'm not sure if it was because it was a Motown themed cruise that we had so many people who really wanted to dance, but we had an amazing time and we really got to meet a lot of really fun people. Reason number 5, the cabins. So we booked an inside cabin and our room number was 6125, and we were at the front of the ship. This cabin sleeps 4 people, 2 single beds and 2 beds that you pull down. I would say that the room was quite comfortable for 2 people, and I think it might be a bit tight for 4. There was plenty of storage, so we didn't have to worry about that. The bathroom had everything that we needed. We did notice that the shower head did have a little bit of a leak, and we did call customer services. As soon as we got back to our room, the problem was fixed and the shower was fine. The only negative about this room was the fact that there was only 1 plug socket, and for a room that sleeps up to 4 different people, that didn't seem to be quite enough. I mean, if everybody had a mobile phone and then you plugged in the kettle, that just wasn't enough plugs, unless we couldn't find the plug, of course, which is a possibility. As it was a British cruise, each cabin had tea and coffee making facilities, which is absolutely perfect. The downside is that this cruise did not have any biscuits. Where's the biscuits? Luckily, we brought our own, so we were fine. 6, the passengers. Ambassador Cruises offer cruises for adults only, and I have to say that it was really nice not to have screaming children running around the pool. Sorry. The cruise line does actually offer cruises for families, and there are specific dates that they offer that, mainly during the holidays. I would say that the age range for this cruise was mostly people in their late 40s and upwards, so 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond. There were a couple of people who were in their 20s as well, so it was a nice mixture and everyone was welcome, except kids. The majority of the people on this cruise ship were British. We did actually meet one New Zealander on the cruise, and most of the people actually came from the Tilbury area because that's where this ship departed from. We found that the people in that area from Essex, they were the funniest people and we had such a good laugh. So I would definitely recommend that if you're in the Essex area, definitely book to go on this cruise because you will have such a laugh. I would say that the majority of the guests on this cruise were British, and there were a few people who looked like me, but not very many, about 8. But we are all the same and we all had a laugh and it was just a fantastic time. The drinks package. Now, I didn't buy the drinks package because my sister doesn't drink and I think you both have to buy the drinks package to get it. So instead of getting the drinks package, I just bought drinks and I paid as I went. The drinks that are free are the teas, the coffees and the orange juice in the morning. Each cabin has a bottle of water, but that bottle of water is not free. There is a label on it which tells you how much the water is, but some people we found didn't see the label and they drank the water and then they were charged for it. So remember, the bottle of water in your cabin is not free, but there are water fountains around the ship and everyone is free to use those. 8, the staff and service. I have to say that we were really happy with the staff and the service that we received on the Ambassador cruise. Everyone was really happy to help out. They were always smiling, and even when we could see how busy people were, they would stop and have a chat. As I mentioned before, we did have an issue with the shower head and there was also an issue with our air conditioning. But as soon as we went to customer services, the problem was solved for us immediately. So I would say that Ambassador Cruise has a top-notch level of service. And one of the highlights was actually one of the chefs in the buffet. Every morning he would have a happy thing. He was always happy. He was always smiling. And yeah, it was just a great atmosphere. People were really friendly. We found that the entertainment staff were always friendly and ready to chat as well. And during the entertainment, like the quiz night, we had such a laugh. The highlights of this cruise. I would have to say that the highlights of this cruise was the warm and welcoming staff on the ship and also our fellow cruisers. We had the best time ever. Everyone, I feel like, was up for a laugh, and so we just had such a great time. As I said, the nightclub was busy every single evening. People were ready to get up on that dance floor as soon as a good song came on, and the DJ was really enthusiastic about playing. The food was great, the locations that we went to were really good, and we just had a wonderful time. 10. Who would I recommend this cruise for? I would recommend an Ambassador cruise to anyone who's ever been on a P&O cruise, and for people who liked the smaller ships. I would say this is a cruise for people who like to do quizzes, and it's a cruise for people who are happy to entertain themselves, for example, to go and sit in a quiet corner and to read their book, or to just sit up on deck and look out at sea. If you're after a cruise with lots of bells and whistles and different activities and attractions, then this cruise might not be for you. I would say that this type of cruise is for someone who is looking for a laid-back atmosphere. Definitely look at the Ambassador Cruise Line website because they have some really good offers. Thank you so much for watching. Check out one of my other cruise videos and I will see you next time.